I am Rainie's mother. When I was pregnant with Rainie, the doctors wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but I refused. They said that he could be born with no arms or legs. But God gave him to me and I held on to the day of his birth. He was in hospital for 5 years. With his first baby injection, his lungs collapsed. I stayed with him in hospital. I was too worried to eat, so I was placed on intravenous fluids while he was in an oxygen tent, but we pulled through. Till today, he is such a lovely child. He brings joy to our house. His father worked away from home, so I raised him and his brother mostly by myself. Today, I have so much joy with my 2 children. I treated them equally. I never treated Rainier different from the way I treated Clive, because I believe you must treat a handicapped child the same way as a normal child. Today I pick the fruit of joy and happiness from my 2 children. The reason that Rainier is doing this work is because he loves people and talking to people. He gets up at 1 o'clock in the morning to get ready. Then at 3 o'clock the taxi picks him up to take him to work. If I am awake before he leaves, I pray to God to keep him safe so that he can come home safely again. My husband and I do everything in our power as parents to look after him. We regularly take him to the doctor for all his checkups to make sure that he is okay and well looked after. We are very proud of Rainier.
My name is Rainy Meyer, and I worked for my brother for 11 years. I went to school at Carpet Diem. I can still do the work at my brother, but I have worked there for 11 years. I can go back anytime.
How did you decide to stand next to the road and make them smile on their way to work?
No, it was not my decision. Jesus talks to you to tell you what you must do. So Jesus told me, leave this job. I will show you something else to do. Sometimes there are 3 voices that can talk to you: the Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God. People don't always know this, but you must listen carefully to what they are saying. My life is not the same as it was before.
At what point in your life did you decide to give your heart to God?
How this story actually happened was, over time, I had 3 girlfriends. The first one had a boyfriend, but she never told me. But then I found out about that. The second girl, I found out that she smokes. The third girl lived with us in our house, and we fell in love with each other. Then she had to move away. That's when my heart broke into 2 pieces. It was not easy for me. Later, my mother noticed that something was wrong with me and asked me what was wrong. I just couldn't handle it anymore. A bit later on, a friend who lived in our house asked me to go with him to a Christian youth meeting on the Friday evening. I said yes. That was where everything happened. While I was still sitting in the house, the Holy Spirit talked to me for the first time. And everything that was bothering me at that time just disappeared. I immediately felt that something happened to me.
Toe voel ek dat iets onmiddellik gebeur, maar toe ek glad nie weet die teater wat voor wat ek was.
I was excited and asked the pastor if I can be baptized again, because I was baptized as a baby. He said yes. Then later he called me in to ask some questions, and that is when I accepted Jesus as my Savior that evening. People do not know how very sick I was. They didn't know that what's going on in my life. So I'm doing this to prove to everyone that I'm healed. God showed me that this is what I must do, and I gave everything for Him. I first started on the corner of St. Paul Street and then later moved up to Welling Street. When I got attacked and robbed,
one morning, before he started using the taxi, he started to walk off to work at 2 o'clock in the morning. After a while, he was back at home, and he told us he had been attacked and robbed. The robbers, he said, had taken his phone, and it seemed they had tried to stab him with a knife too. He was bleeding from several places on his body. We went looking for the robbers, but couldn't find them. So we contacted the police and reported the incident. Till today, we haven't heard anything back from the police, but thank God our child is still alive. When Vodacom heard about the attack and his loss, they gave him a new phone as a gift. We are very grateful because he loves to listen to music with earpods, especially Afrikaans music. So much so that if there is a concert anywhere nearby, he is sure to be there.
So Jan, I met Rainy about 7-8 years ago. I actually saw an article on him in the George Herald, and he was waving in Wellington Street at the time, and I think that's probably where he got his initial name as the Wellington Waiver from. And I always wanted to sort of try and differentiate my fuel station with all the other ones around me, and I managed to set up a meeting with him and his parents to try and sort of lure him to come to my site and actually try and make a difference there and wave to people there. So I scheduled a meeting with his folks and sort of did my sales speech, and I said, look, I'll give you a uniform, I'll look after you a little bit financially. Are you happy to come and stand at Southgate Motors? And he looked at me and said, no. I said, what do you mean no? He said, well, he can't leave his people in Wellington Street. So I said, okay, well, it's a great trait to have, to be that loyal, but I still think that there's so many more people that you can impact in Courtney Street. And I said, get in my car, let me go show you how many more cars there actually are in that road. So then initially we had a bit of a deal. We had a deal to let him stand in Wellington Street between times, and then I'd pick him up between 7 and 9, and then he'll stand in Courtney, which eventually sort of just became Courtney Street. But he's a fantastic young man, and I wish that the rest of my workforce, I live in Ceres now, which I also own a fuel station. If the rest of my guys, or petrol attendants or employees, had the same attitude as he has, you know, he's always on time, he's always friendly. He's got different times that he comes to work. I think he's at work at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then he leaves on the dot at 9 o'clock. And I suppose he gets his comfort and his structure on the routines that he has. but always friendly. Knows his customer really well. He knows his customers really well. I asked him once why is he actually doing what he's doing, and he said, well, he woke up one morning and it just felt that the Lord told him that he has to wave to people. So every car that sort of drives by, in a way, he blesses, which I think is fantastic. So wonderful young man. I think he's become one of the icons in George, and pretty much what I intended initially is, if I try and tell people where my fuel station is in George, not many people know, but the moment that I say it's where the guy stands and waves, then everybody knows, which is, I suppose, what I wanted to do in the beginning.
This is when Martin van Jaarsveld heard about me and saw me in the newspaper and asked me to come and stand at his place. I've been standing there now for 7 years, so it's been quite a while now.